Welcome to the Kirkpatrick Podcast, bridging traditions and trends in learning and performance evaluation. Whether you're a seasoned learning professional or just starting out, join us as we dive into the Kirkpatrick Model like never before. Through stories and insights, we are fusing time-honored methods with cutting-edge innovations to help you navigate the ever-evolving world of learning and performance evaluation.
Greetings, everybody. Dr. Jim Kirkpatrick here for another version of Kirkpatrick Podcast. And I have a guest. As we've been doing a lot of guests lately, we get a lot of good interaction and ideas from guests. Her name is Linda Webb. And I'm going to read her bio so you kind of know some background before I talk with Linda. Linda had the opportunity to work with me. It says Jim Kirkpatrick in the script, but it was me back in 2007. Believe that? Long time ago. It's like old home week here. Jim evaluated two of her training courses. She was working at a state agency at the time, and they coached her while she was developing a chip seal program, which is a paving of a road, of a county road. So we'll get to that, which earned Linda the Kirkpatrick 4 Levels Evaluation Gold Level certification back in January 2012, one of the first gold members of the club. It says after her retirement, Linda named her consulting business Training and Beyond LLC because she knows the impact of on-the-job behavior is the key to leverage the training that's been applied. She realizes how important the formal training is for the safety of employees and emphasizes on-the-job training should reinforce those awarenesses. She applies the New World Kirkpatrick Model to every training she does. Way to go, Linda. Evaluating the leading indicators throughout the process. She's a contract instructor for Missouri Local Technical Assistance Program, spoken at numerous state, regional, and national events. Wow. Linda, good to see you and hear you again. You've been around. I'm going to start with a question. We know about your background, and I know you're going to be speaking at our summit in June in the DC area. Can you share a little bit more about what it is you do and your passion for going beyond the checking the box training?
Well, I train agencies mainly, in highway things that they do, construction and maintenance work, such as highway work zones, flaggers, trainers, heavy equipment of all kinds. And of course, the chip seal was my baby project at the time. And I was a maintenance worker for 17 years and a construction inspector for 3 before I actually got my education from college and got my degree and went on to be developing training. And needless to say, we didn't really have any training when I first started in the 80s. So I'm lucky to be alive.
Well, and so is training, and your heart is still alive. Now, I want to ask you, you're in the enviable position where you said you were actually a maintenance worker and inspector. So you have come from the work side into the training side, and how has that benefited you over the years?
Oh my gosh, I cannot even rate how it's benefited me, because I'm a female working in a male's world. Even when I was at my prior agency, a lot of people after class would come up and we'd say, "We know you've been with us, and we know you've been there, and we know you have a passion for what you do." And I've went to other states, North Dakota and stuff, and did training. And I worried about that, how my male audience of probably 95% was going to perceive me being a female walking in talking about male topics. But they know I know my stuff, and they know I have a passion for what I do. And that's tremendously.
And you're bringing up something that is very important and a little touchy at times. But at Kirkpatrick Partners here, we're not afraid to deal with things that are real. Tell us more about how you were able to build credibility in a 95% male world of work.
I tell stories of, I guess, my close calls or close incidents, I say I left the field. They claim in the safety world you have about 600 near misses before you have a fatality, and I think I left the field on 590 something, because I had looking back, a lot of mistakes that I made that I'm now trying to train people. I did this, but I'm alive and I want to keep you from, going down that path. So, it's all about, I really care about my employees that I'm training. And that's a big difference, as we're maybe going to get into later, about, it's not checklist training. When I train, I don't do checklist training.
Just say more about that. Keep going.
Well, when I began, or when formal training began at my prior agency, it was you go in, you sit in a metal chair, and you watch a video, and then some guys that were, they were coworkers that they had picked, kind of subject matter experts, and they would have no training or no college experience or anything because they were operators. And they would read out of the manual, the thou shalls and the thou shall nots from OSHA. And for others that are watching around the world, OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration that was developed to try to keep employees safe on the job. And so we had a lot of safety managers at the time involved in the training. And of course, they had never been in the field. They were just looking at the shells and the shell knots to legally keep the organization out of trouble. And so when I left those trainings, needless to say, it left a bad taste in my mouth. Okay. They told me, they brought me in for 3 or 4 hours to teach me a class that I expected to want to know how to run a piece of equipment better. I wanted to learn the niches and the knacks. And when I left there, all that I saw was, thou shall not do this, thou shall not do that. And if I felt like my hands were tied behind my back, and they tied my feet together, and then they told me to go do my job. And needless to say, it didn't go over well with very many of my coworkers either.
Linda, you brought up a really important point, that so many times when I talk to people in the field, they say, we don't want training people to come to us because they're always looking for problems. And pretty soon, who wants to deal with the Grim Reaper all the time? That they're saying they're just finding what we're not doing right. Next time they we're not even going to talk to them. So I know that you balance that out. You find things that are safety problems, but you also emphasize when people are doing it right.
Yes, I go out to the field because I love being in the field, because that's where I spent 17 years, and I ask a lot of questions. I be curious, and a lot of the guys will love to tell their story. Just like I'm telling my story now, a lot of the employees will, if you'll ask the right questions and listen, they will tell you everything that you want to know and everything that needs to be put in the training. But you got to go out there. You got to know what their issues are, what their obstacles are, to keep them from doing a better job or being more productive or being more safe. You just can't sit in the office because upper management said, I think we need equipment training for these guys, and go out there and go pick up the equipment manual, go through the equipment manual and stick them on a bunch of slides and make the training materials, and go out there and just say, this is your formal training, guys, for a particular piece of equipment. That doesn't go over very well.
Now I'm going to mess with you here a little bit, just like I did when we first met. How many years ago? A lot of years ago. Why don't you just go in and tell them what they need to do? That would save a lot of time instead of listening to them talking about their issues and their needs.
I guess I guess I wasn't raised that way, Jim. You know, I'm old school. You know, I'm a farm girl, and I love the outdoors, and I love to help people. And to me, I look at the training that I got back when formal training first started, and the formal training didn't help me do my job. And I, as a trainer, I want to help the people that were in my shoes, that are in my shoes now, of where I was. I want to help them be a better employee. I want to help them love their job, not hate their job.
And you also honoring them, aren't you, by saying, why don't you tell me what's going on here, rather than me come in and tell you what you should be doing. And that builds trust for you, doesn't it?
Yes, it builds trust. It really does. I just got home from Kansas City area. I'm just now working with a county that's, I guess, accelerating their training program in 4 weeks. I do 2 classes every Wednesday for 4 weeks, and they're going to have what we have is the Missouri LTAP Scholar Program level, and they're all going to get nice Carhartt jackets. You know, that's one motivation that helps the guys. However, these guys are so much fun, and there's some gals in the class, and they are just, they were asking for training, they said, before the training actually came. They were wanting training, and you can see that I have more than I want, about 30 in my class, and they're just, they're like herding a classroom of trainers, and you know how that is. Everybody wants to talk, and everybody wants to present. Everybody wants to share their story. But they are really learning, and I really do believe that they are going to take the stuff that I've been teaching them the last couple of weeks, and in 2 weeks going forward. They are actually, I truly wholeheartedly believe that they are going to apply it. For example, the first day I trained there, I didn't even get to eat my lunch or go to the bathroom or anything. They were just, every time we had a break, they were coming up and telling me stories or asking me questions. And so, I mean, they were engaged.
I've seen you before. When I taught that class, you were even that way to your other people that were taking bronze back then. Mm-hmm. I've seen you in action. Here's a couple other questions. You said you were an inspector?
A construction inspector for the agency.
Now here's what I think. I don't think you really need inspectors to go out and look at work. You can just trust that people learn what they're supposed to learn, and then they go out and do it. You could save a lot of time and money by just getting rid of all the inspectors.
Well, that's kind of what this agency has done recently, and of course, in my opinion, that's kind of like the fox watching the hen house.
What does that mean?
Well, sometimes when people aren't being watched, you know, it's kind of like kids and parents. When people aren't being watched, sometimes they kind of cut corners, you know, and of course, contractors are always there to make money, you know, and they're maybe not there to do the best job. Some of them are, some of them aren't. And so when we were inspectors, you know, we measured the aggregate. We, you know, looked over the things that they were doing to make sure that we were getting the materials that were approved, and also making sure that we weren't getting slighted on and they were delivering us products and materials that were within the specs. And so that was kind of our job. But I know we as inspectors have been out there and we've turned down aggregate that's came to our job because it was not right. Of course, that don't make the contractors happy. So if we didn't have an agency inspector looking over that, do you think the contractors would have turned down 4 truckloads of material and sent it back to the plant? I don't think so.
No. And you know what you're saying is true. Now, these are not bad people. Just like children are not bad people, are they? They just, here's what children and workers have in common. They're both human, and it's human nature not to necessarily try and do things deliberately to put at risk, you know, safety kinds of things. But we like to kind of do what's familiar and comfortable and cut some corners. Sometimes it's deliberate. We get that. but a lot of times it's not. So that's why when I read your bio and know your background, you believe in after training, having supervisors and other people involved in making sure that the training investment is not wasted, but it turns into performance. Tell us about that.
Okay. Because I'm an outside consultant in my job now, in my business, I don't get the opportunity to follow them around afterwards and collect data and all of that stuff like I did with the chip seal project. However, a lot of times I'm asked back, and I guess I consider that one of my metrics is I'm a company of one. So if I make a mistake, the only person I can blame is me. However, if I do well, then I can pat myself on the back. But when I go back to these agencies, maybe 6 months later or something, I go, how well? I talk to the supervisors. I talk in the class. I talk to the guys, and I said, okay, so are you really applying what you learned here? Because if you didn't, you're wasting my time and the agency's money. And I think when I come across with my voice and my body language and things, I think the guys really do get that I'm not there to just check the list of them, getting through the programs and getting their jackets or whatever, but I'm there to actually make a difference. Make a difference. My philosophy for my company is work smarter, not harder. And that's why I try to get the guys to do. I try to give them techniques in their work that, hey, if you do this, then it's going to make you have less physical labor or less mental stress or whatever. And it's going to benefit you. So I want you guys to work smarter, not harder. I want you to love your job like I love my job. And I try to build morale. I try to build, if you have obstacles, let me know. If there's something that I can do that changes the training, let me know. And I guess I treat my attendees like family.
Yeah.
I know them, and I treat them like family. I kid around with them like, friends and family. And I have a high respect for that. And, with my gender, I have done a lot of training and paid for a lot of training on my own, just to make myself credible,
Yep. What advice would you have for others out there who are individual providers? Because not everybody works for big companies and corporations.
Integrity.
What's
and
that
building
mean?
trust.
What's integrity?
Well, and to me, integrity is I'm going to do what I say, and I'm going to. When I say I care about people, I really care about people. That's not a blow you off. I care about their safety. I've been there. I've been in their shoes, and those guys know that. And it's amazing the stories that they tell me that they do. And I share those stories with others. And in fact, I have way too many stories, and sometimes I get in trouble with my evals saying I'm a little bit spend a lot of time telling stories.
So do I.
I try to tell stories that relates to them about accidents, and when I share a story about another agency that had an accident, I say, okay, how could this guy have prevented that accident? I am a big one not to, and of course I don't have a company, so I can say a lot of things that maybe is easier done than it is to perform. But I'm not a big person to, if I go out there and I teach you something that's safety, and for some reason 2 weeks later, the supervisor or management comes along and they say, oh, you were told that you couldn't do that. That's an unsafe act. You're going to get 3 days off, or you're going to get written up, or whatever. I guess I came from the redheaded stepchildren from the other side of HR. I was the one that was trying to train them, trying to keep them out of trouble. And I have a different approach to that, because then that's why training gets a bad rap. is because we go out there, we give them training, we make them sign the roster, and the first time they go out and they do something wrong, we hammer it home, by writing them up or giving them time off or maybe even firing them, and I am not a believer in that. People that are good employees, humans, we are humans. We make mistakes. I make mistakes, and we need to learn from those mistakes, not get reprimanded for those mistakes necessarily. In most cases, there is a time and place for everything. But I try to teach my agencies. I say, don't let the guy get away or gal get away with that, but make him the safety advocate. Tell him, okay, you did this. Now you're going to go and you're going to tell the rest of your crew member what you did, how it happened, why it happened. And you're going to go investigate maybe the OSHA manual or a manual of this or the operator's manual or whatever. And I said, you're going to be now my safety person for the next few weeks, but agencies don't do that.
Good for you.
And I think morale would be up, production would be up. I think we would start looking after each other, being more safe and work as a team and all of those things. If that was applied instead of give them the carrot, not the stick.
Well, tell us more about what people might expect for you to be talking about at the Kirkpatrick Summit in June of this year.
Okay. Well, I just watched the podcast from Megan, and she's going to be a speaker out there. And she gave me an idea that I used probably 20 years ago when I was teaching leadership training. I'm going to bring a toolbox. You're bringing a toolbox to the summit. So if you can do it, I can do it. And my toolbox is going to be Bob the Builder.
Well, Bob the Builder. Okay.
Bob the Builder. He's a construction guy and he's a highway guy, and so I'm bringing Bob the Builder with me with some tools in his little toolkit that's going to help folks. Hopefully, when they leave the summit, they're going to enjoy it because I like to have fun. I like to be an upbeat speaker, and I've got some stories I'm going to show you, and I know you like fishing, so I'm going to show those participants how to fish out those leading indicators.
Oh, wow. I'd want to hear that.
Yeah, I've got a process that I think works very well of getting those leading indicators out there. And of course, it begins with the big picture in mind. When we start out, we need to work with our stakeholders, like everybody says. But I guess because I came from the bottom up, I like to go back to the field and find those leading indicators. And then I like to figure out how to get those to work, to implement and have a successful training program.
Great. Well,
we're going to do a lot of fishing and a lot of building with Bob.
Well, what Linda means by leading indicators are those signs of progress. They're not level 1 classroom stuff. They're not level 2 learning stuff. They are really signs of progress. Kirkpatrick level 4 of what's working at level 3. I have 2 more quick questions for you. One is, how can people get in contact with you in the meantime?
Well, Jim, I'm supposed to be retired. But sometimes I tell people I'm just tired because I've already worked more than a 40-hour week this week. So
if you want them to reach out to you, how would they do it? If not, that's perfectly fine too.
No, I'm on LinkedIn. So okay. No, they can catch me on LinkedIn. And I don't have a website and I was thinking about that when I first retired. I kind of wanted to work. I don't want to just lay down, and go out to green pastures. But word of mouth, people ask me back, and I guess that's my metric. And I stay as busy as I want to be. I got life on the farm here, and I stay as busy as I want to be, running around and teaching folks and enjoying. I love to meet people. And so I am on LinkedIn. Facebook, I'm a LinkedIn person.
And the last question I have, it's a true and false question, okay?
Oh, boy.
You just wait till I'm done with this, okay? The first time we met, you were in a classroom at this campus, and I walked in and I said, "Hello, everybody. I'm so honored that you have named a building after me, James Kirkpatrick. I see it's a building next door." True or false?
That is true.
Now, true or false? That building was named after me personally.
False.
Okay. It was some other person. James Kirkpatrick wasn't. I remember that.
That is true. That's true. But we did get a picture, and I don't know if I can find that. And I went through, but it was dark. I just thought if I could get that picture, if I'm back at that area, if I can get that picture, I will have it at the summit, but I'm not going to guarantee that.
Was it me standing in front of the sign?
You were. I don't think I can get that, but I can probably get the picture of the monument. But yeah, we did that, if you remember, and they photoshopped your initial in there with you standing in front of the sign. But that's been 17 years ago, so
that's right.
I probably won't be able to recover the picture.
Well, that's all right. You bring Bob with you to the summit. That'll be enough.
I will bring Bob the builder, and we'll fix things.
And I sure appreciated talking with you, and look forward to seeing you in June.
All right. Thank you very much. And we'll do some fishing and some building.
Okay. All right. Good talk.
Right. Bye-bye.